In this video, we will be focusing on the suprahyoid or the submental triangle. Its name is derived from its anatomical location. Supra means above, so it's above the hyoid bone, and sub means below, so it's below the mentum. This is just a review of the triangles of the neck. This is the midline, this is the mandible, this is the clavicle, and of course, this is the trapezius muscle. This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the one that separates the neck into anterior and posterior triangles. This is the hyoid bone, the digastric muscle, and this is the omohyoid. Okay, so the submental triangle is located in the more anterior portion of the anterior triangle. So let's shade it with a yellow highlighter. So this is the submental triangle. Let's discuss the different borders of the submental triangle. On the lateral sides are the anterior digastric bellies. So on the apex is the symphysis menti, and its base is formed by the hyoid bone. Its roof is made up of the investing layer of the deep cervical fascia, and its floor is made up of the mylohyoid muscle. This is the anterior view of the submental triangle, and this is the mylohyoid muscle. But first, let's proceed with the first muscle, which is the digastric muscle. This is the posterior belly of the digastric muscle and the anterior belly. It has two origins, which are the following. First is the mastoid process of the temporal bone, and another one is the digastric fossa of the mandible. It is inserted in the intermediate tendon connected to the hyoid bone, that one, and then it is innervated by two nerves. So number one for the posterior belly is the facial nerve or the cranial nerve 7, and the anterior belly is innervated by the mylohyoid nerve, which is a branch of the mandibular branch of the cranial nerve 5 or trigeminal nerve. So there are two innervations, cranial nerve 7 and cranial nerve 5. It is supplied, its blood supply for the posterior belly, number one, is the occipital artery. And the anterior belly is supplied by the facial artery. More specifically, its branch, which is called the submental branch. Let's discuss the different actions of the digastric muscle. Number one is that if the digastric muscle contracts, it elevates the hyoid bone and the tongue, and when the hyoid bone is held in place by the infrahyoid muscles, it depresses the mandible. Hence, it opens our mouth. For example, here it elevates the hyoid bone and it depresses the mandible. Now let's discuss the next muscle, which is the mylohyoid muscle. It originates from the mylohyoid line of the mandible, and it inserts to the body of the hyoid bone. It is innervated by the mylohyoid nerve, which is a branch of the mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve, and it is supplied by two arteries. Number one, the mylohyoid branch of the inferior alveolar artery, and the second one is the submental artery, which is a branch of the facial artery, and the inferior alveolar artery is a branch of the maxillary artery. Now, let's discuss the actions of the mylohyoid muscle. It's just the same with the digastric muscle. It elevates the hyoid and the tongue, and it depresses as well the mandible. Hence, opening our mouth. It opens our mouth. Next topic, we will discuss the contents of the submental triangle. Now, it is important to note that there are different variations of the contents. It is controversial, but let's just discuss the main contents of the submental triangle. First, the submental lymph nodes, or group 1A. And then the second one is the anterior jugular vein. You can remember this one by memorizing the mnemonic mentalas. Mental, submental triangle, A for anterior jugular vein, and S for submental lymph nodes. Now let's have a short review or an exam regarding the submental triangle. So what's this one? The apex. What are the lateral sides? What is the base? Name the roof of the triangle. And also, name the floor of the triangle. What are the contents? The first one, the second one. What is this muscle? And there are two origins, number 1 and number 2. What is the insertion or the attachment? What is the insertion of these two? It is innervated by, and it is supplied by what? There are two different nerves, innervations, and there are two different arteries. Name those two. And what are the actions? This muscle, what is this one? What is this muscle? Now, what is its origin? And what is its insertion? And it is innervated by what? And it is supplied by what arteries? And what is the action?